Hi there, it's Craig from Charlestown Hypnotherapy, making this video on stress and anxiety and living at home under confined conditions. Before working as a hypnotherapist, I worked in New South Wales Ambulance as a paramedic. And when I worked as a paramedic, there was an acronym that we used, and it's also used in first aid trainings. It's DRABC, or Dr. ABC, some people used to say. And in first aid terms, it's often used for danger, response, airway, breathing, and circulation. And in these times of stress, I thought I'd like to offer people an alternate way at looking at that acronym as a reminder. At this moment in time when people are stuck at home and not able to get out, get time away from family, or just struggle to get some time to themselves, some me time. So I thought this may help. I changed the acronym for the following. It's still DRABC, but I say danger, redirect, assurance, be positive, and change. So the D for danger. Be aware of danger to yourself. And that's what it normally refers to anyway. And that can be one of the following ways. Often the danger to yourself can be emotions that are causing you harm inside. So some of the emotions like anger and guilt and sadness can cause long-term damage to your health. If you pay attention to emotional pain and recognize when it happens, and you can work to treat it before it becomes all-encompassing, before it's just too much to deal with. The body evolved the sensation of physical pain to alert us that something is wrong and that we need to address this thing. And it can be the same for emotional pain. If the feeling of rejection, failure, or a bad mood is not getting any better, it means that you may have sustained psychological wounds, and you need to treat that just like you would a physical wound. For example, loneliness can be devastatingly damaging to your psychological and physical health. So when you or a friend or a loved one is feeling socially or emotionally isolated, you need to take action. You can call them. Video calling is so easily available now. If you have a neighbour, you can chat over the fence. That's great as well. We know that humans really need social interaction to be healthy. Another emotion can be guilt, and sometimes guilt can be useful in small doses. It alerts you to take action, to mend a problem in a relationship with another person. But excessive guilt is toxic in that it wastes your emotional and your intellectual energies. It distracts you from other tasks and prevents you from enjoying life. One of the best ways to resolve lingering guilt is to offer an effective apology. You may have tried apologizing previously, but apologies are more complex than that. More complex than we sometimes tend to realize. The crucial ingredient that every effective apology requires, and most standard apologies can lack, is empathy, the empathy statement. In other words, your apology should focus less on explaining why you did what you did and more on how your actions or interactions impacted the other person. It's much easier to forgive someone when you feel that they truly understand. So you could say that I really understand how it affected you. And by apologizing and having that understanding, the other person is much more likely to convey authentic forgiveness and to help your guilt dissolve. Anger is a basic human emotion as well, common to all of us. And it's okay to feel angry from time to time. That's where understanding our anger and using anger management strategies can help. Anger is often associated with frustration. And it may arise when things don't go or the way we would like them to go or happen the way that we want. People don't act the way that we would like. It's usually a reaction to a trigger, event, or emotion. which can include feeling embarrassed, guilt, shame, jealousy, stress, and a host of other reasons. It can also be caused by reasons that we don't even understand. It can be the subconscious, a deeper level of a reaction that we're not even consciously aware of. And that's where we use hypnotherapy to help with that. So when we are angry, there is nearly always an underlying need or a want that has not been met. Sometimes this is something material, such as money, or it can be a desired emotion, such as wanting to be respected or loved. Understanding our anger can be difficult, as it's often not immediately apparent where it's coming from. Another emotion is sadness, and sadness is a human emotion that all people feel at certain times during their lives. Feeling sad is a natural reaction to situations that cause emotional upset or pain. There are varying degrees of sadness. You can feel this when you're feeling worn down by being overworked, the loss of something or someone. But like other emotions, sadness is temporary and it fades with time. In this way, sadness can differ from depression. So allowing time and space for self-care is very important for some of these. And this will be addressed in a follow-up video on my approach to self-care. So that was D, that was danger. Now, R for this exercise stands for redirect. Redirect your gut reaction when things go wrong. Some people have a gut reaction as a feeling or a sensation in their body. For some, it's just an emotion. But the nature of psychological wounds makes it easy for one to lead to another. And failure or mistakes can often drive you to focus on what you can't do instead of focusing on what you can do. That can then make you less likely to perform at your best, which will make you even more focused on your shortcomings and on the cycle that it just goes on and around and around. So to stop this sort of emotional spiral, you learn to ignore that post-failure gut that some people say, just that feeling. Because a reaction of that feeling of helplessness or feeling demoralized, and it makes a list of factors that you can control more difficult to achieve when you try again. For instance, think about preparation and planning when you redo this exercise and how you might improve each of them. This kind of exercise will reduce feelings of helplessness and improve your chances of future success. Remember, there's an old quote from Heraclitus: "The only thing that is constant is change." So we know that things will change as long as you let the old stuff go and make space for better things. Change will be talked about soon. I will also talk more about letting go of old emotions in a future video. So that was R, redirect. Now, A in this exercise stands for assurance, which can be defined as a positive declaration intended to give confidence to yourself. There's another quote: "If someone talked to you the way you talk to yourself, you would have kicked them out of your life a long time ago," by Carla Gordon. So monitor and protect your self-esteem. When you feel like putting yourself down, take a moment to be compassionate to yourself. Self-esteem is like an emotional immune system that buffers you from emotional pain and strengthens your emotional resilience. As such, it is very important to monitor it and to avoid putting yourself down, particularly when you are already hurting. One way to heal damaged self-esteem is to practice self-compassion. When you're feeling critical of yourself, do the following exercise. Imagine a close friend is feeling bad about him or herself for similar reasons, and then you could write an email or a letter expressing compassion and support. Then you can read that email to yourself. And those are the messages that you should be giving yourself. Take the time to appreciate the things around you and the things that you do have in your life, the things that you have achieved. A great way to help with this is something called heart coherence, which I have talked about in another video. So that was A, assurance. Now, the B stands for be positive. Even if in the short term you need to fake it until you make it, then that's okay. When negative thoughts are taking over, disrupt them with positive distraction. And I realise thinking positively can't solve everything, but these are just little things that can help. When you replay distressing events over and over in your mind without seeking new insight or trying to solve a problem, you're just brooding, and that, especially when it becomes habitual, can lead to deeper psychological pain. The best way to disrupt unhealthy rumination is to distract yourself by engaging in a task that requires concentration. For example, you could do a Sudoku, you could do a puzzle or a crossword. Try to recall the names of the kids that were in your fifth grade class. Studies show that even 2 minutes of distraction will reduce the urge to focus on a negative in an unhealthy way. You can remember a time in your life when you felt fantastic, and then try to really remember every part of that time in great detail. So that was B, be positive. Now, the C stands for change. Change unexpected or feared. Find meaning in change. Change, even if perceived as negative or feared, is a part of life. But it can scar us or keep us from moving forward if we don't treat the emotional wounds it can create. If sufficient time has passed and you're still struggling to move forward after a change that you did not like, you need to introduce a new way of thinking about it. Specifically, the most important thing that you can do to ease your pain and recover is to find meaning in the perceived loss that the change created and derive purpose from it. It might be hard, but think of what you might have gained from the loss or change. For instance, if you're in a separation, you can think about how the kids may be happier if you had children now that they're not in a toxic household where things just simply weren't working, weren't pleasant. Maybe you could spend more time with those kids now. Consider how you might gain or help others gain a new appreciation for life, or imagine the changes you could make that will help you live in a more aligned with your true value and your true purpose. Sometimes it can be difficult to see the real value in change until much further down the road. You can reflect back on a change in your past and see how it affected your future now in a more positive way. For example, years ago, I was in a relationship with a girl and we moved to Sydney. And we ended up deciding that that relationship wasn't working. So I was quite upset about that, living in a big city, not knowing many people. And then a short time later, I lost my job. So I had another significant change, and I felt the impact of that, feeling down and sad and frustrated and all those feelings. I couldn't know what was in my future. I was just focused on all that stuff that was going on. But then I started a new career, a new job, and I met a girl that worked there, and she was in admin, and we formed a relationship and we got on really well. And it turned out that her brother-in-law was a paramedic in the New South Wales ambulance service, and he helped me to get into the ambulance service and start my new career as a paramedic. So without moving to Sydney with that girl, that chain of events probably might not have happened in the same way. So at the end of the day, what seemed like a loss at some point in time ended up to be a wonderful gain. So I'm just saying that sometimes if you're living in that moment and not looking towards the future, it can seem negative at the time, but you don't know what the outcome may be. Sometimes when change happens now, I think, wow, I wonder what's coming my way. I wonder what could happen next. And that curiosity and a little bit of excitement can lead to some wonderful outcomes. So I hope that you found this beneficial, and I hope to see you again soon in another video. Thank you.